Right,
Yes,
right,
yeah.
right.
So either you are ignorant, or but there is a journey that you take, and somebody was talking about this something called a lucid dream. Have you heard of the word lucid dream?
I've heard of it, but I.
So this person was explaining that people whose mind start getting a little pure, sometimes they will see a lucid dream, means you are half awake and half dreaming, and you kind of know it that it's a dream. I don't know
Oh,
too much about
yes,
that.
that can happen. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So slowly that वो ऐसे पार करके then you can, maybe, I don't know. So as your mind gets purer and purer, it's possible to get that lucid dream. Somebody was saying. Interesting.
All right, I'll read. But to those whose ignorance is destroyed by the knowledge of the self, like the sun, to them knowledge reveals the supreme Brahman. In the case of finite mortals, sighing and sobbing in ignorance, the self is screened off from them by lifeless walls of nescience avidya. The man of realization is one in whom knowledge has lifted this veil of ignorance. Darkness is removed by light, not by degrees, but instantaneously, however old the darkness may be and however thick its density. Similarly, in one who has knowledge, jnana, of the self, the beginningless ignorance is lifted, and within a lightning flash, his ignorance ends. Ignorance creates the egocentric concept, and the ego thrives in the body, mind, and intellect. With the end of ignorance, the ego too ends.
So Swamiji has taken, a different angle, but is he telling exactly the same thing? But he's explained it very nicely. He's just talking about when that knowledge actually reveals itself, it happens very quickly, and this just same way like I was talking about that cave, very dark, and instantaneously there can be light. And that's why some of the people who got enlightened, if you read the biography, they will tell you that. Like even Sadhguru talks about sitting on that Chamundi hill, and all of a sudden he felt oneness with the universe. It happened very quickly for him, instantaneously.
At this stage of Vedantic discussion, the dualists, Dvaityan, generally feel like collapsing in sheer despair. They fail to understand how the self can be experienced when the experiencer, the ego, and the instruments of experiencing, which are familiar to them in perception, feeling, and thinking, have all ended. Any intelligent student must surely entertain this doubt. Foreseeing this possibility, Krishna is here trying to explain how, when the ego has ended, knowledge becomes self-evident.
So I was just thinking about it, when that's why they say you have to transcend your intellect, because if you stay at the intellect level, it only will backfire after a point. You will get deeper into the delusion. So you have to let go at that point.
This explanation cannot be brought so easily within the comprehension of a thinking intellect, but by the example which the Lord gives in the second line, like the sun. It is the experience of all of us that during the monsoon we do not see the sun for days together, and we, in our hasty conclusions, cry out, "The sun has been covered by clouds." When we consider this statement, it is not very difficult for us to understand that the sun cannot be covered by a tiny bit of a cloud. Also, the region of the cloud is far removed from the center of the universe, where the sun, in its infinite glory, revels as the one without a second. The minute humans observing from the surface of the globe with their tiny eyes experience that the glorious orb of the sun is being veiled because of a wisp of cloud. I'll read it again. The minute humans observing from the surface of the globe with their tiny eyes experience that the glorious orb of the sun is being veiled because of a wisp of a cloud. Even a mighty mountain can be veiled from our vision if we put our tiny little finger very near our eyes.
So he's just telling you how it can happen, and that beautiful example is in front of us. That, he's saying that either the sun can be covered by cloud completely, and we might say, oh, the sun got covered. Reality mein nothing has happened to sun. And the clouds are so far away from the sun, it can never, in fact, अगर वो cloud sun के पास भी जाएगा तो एक fraction of second में उस खत्म हो जाएगा वो, right? So even you can look at it that way. And the other thing he said, even a huge mountain is there, and if I put a finger or cover my hand just with my hand, I won't be able to see it. See the how power of ignorance, it can veil it. That's all he's trying to bring that example to you. But he's going to say similarly, yeah, next one.
Similarly, the ego jiva, looking up to the Atman, finds that ignorance is enveloping the infinite. This ignorance is not in truth, just as the clouds are never in the sun. The finite ignorance is certainly a limited factor compared with the infinitude of reality. And yet, the mist of self-forgetfulness that hangs in the chambers of the heart gives the ego the false notion that the spiritual reality is enveloped by ignorance. When this ignorance is removed, the self becomes manifest, just as when the cloud has moved away, the sun becomes manifest.
So that's the example he's giving. And one interesting thing over here, he's saying that even this is also a false notion that the ignorance is covering it, because there nothing can cover it actually. That's what he's trying to tell you by giving this example of the clouds. Looking from the earth, it is like, we think, oh my God, sun is gone and all that. But the earth itself is so small compared to the sun, and it came from it. Clouds का तो कोई अस्तित्व ही नहीं है उसके सामने. Existence ही नहीं है उसके सामने. It's such a flimsy thing compared to the sun. So that's ignorance is a very flimsy thing. Once you know, it can just disappear. That's what he's trying to tell you.
So is our ego then. It's
Yes.
flimsy. Right?
It's very
And
flimsy.
therefore,
Very true. But we think, oh my God, उसके बिना तो हम रह ही नहीं सकते. Something like that. I mean, I love that example that if you go to the ocean, then you have the water and you have big waves and all that, and you have the foam. Foam is nothing but little hawa, that got into something and then sits on the top. उसका कुछ अस्तित्व नहीं है. See, ego is like that. ऐसे कुछ भी नहीं है, हवा है मगर sits on the top.
to see the sun, we need no other light. To experience the self, we need no other experience. The self is awareness. It is consciousness. To become conscious of consciousness, we need no separate consciousness. To know knowledge, we need no knowledge other than knowledge. Knowledge is the very faculty of knowing. Similarly, when the ego rediscovers the self, it becomes the self.
So we have gone through this whole thing. I already explained that, just like the sun reveals itself, and then you don't need another light to see the sun. Same way, the same consciousness doesn't need any other thing. Consciousness reveal itself as conscious.
When a dreamer has ended his dream career, along with his dream, he rediscovers himself to be the waker. The waker is never known or understood or recognized as an object by the dreamer. The dreamer himself transcends the dream world and enters the realm of waking, wherein he knows himself to be the waker. In the same fashion, the deluded ego, when it walks out of ignorance and enters the realm of pure consciousness, it becomes the consciousness, which is the Atman. This relationship between the ego and the Atman and the technique of rediscovery of the Atman by the ego are beautifully described by this metaphor, which is full of deep significance for those who know how to chew upon it in independent thinking.
So he's just telling that again and again, think about this example, and then you will understand the relationship between ego and the Atman. You know what it is. And then it just says the sage whose intellect is absorbed in truth will have no more births. It's going to tell you uska result kya hoga once the person becomes, knowledge comes to him, or becomes, you know, knows about consciousness or revels in the consciousness, becomes one with it. What is going to happen, that we will see next time. But any question about this example, or anybody has any comment?
Okay, I don't know whether it's relevant or consciousness exists or is everywhere. It shines in the intellect because that's where it can shine, in the intellect. That's where the ego is. So is that why we are saying that ego is so small? It's just like, a finger which can be removed, and then consciousness reveals, then the whole of consciousness is revealed. Could we say that, or am I wrong in thinking?
No, you could say. He's just telling you two different ways to approach it. One is he's saying कि वैसे तो कुछ है ही नहीं. You know, like I was telling about the foam, हवा से, mix हो गया थोड़ा किसी चीज में, but it doesn't have any substance. So you can look at it ego that way. Suppose if you say, okay, ego is, because it feels so strong to us right now. चलो थोड़ा सा अस्तित्व दे भी दिया उसको, लेकिन वो सन के सामने टिक नहीं सकता क्लाउड. सो सेम वे, कहाँ सन और कहाँ क्लाउड, कोई कंपैरिजन ही नहीं है. That, so you can take it whichever way you want to, but basically it's just telling you. Yeah. Okay. Both are okay, because both gives a point, and then when you think of different examples, and then it sits in your mind properly, okay, that's what they are saying. एक्चुअली में तो है ही नहीं, और अगर दिखता भी है तो अगर मैं ऐसे सोचूं तो it's really nothing. Consciousness is everything.
Okay.
Yeah. And then your own, what you were discussing about the dream is mentioned over here, that while I'm in the dream, I cannot see consciousness as an object at all. Only when I wake up, then and in fact our teacher in Houston used to say, the dream is almost भगवान ने एक clue दिया है तुमको. Okay? नहीं तो हम लोग का, I was talking to my husband the other day about the dreams also, because he remembers his dream very clearly. I don't. I know I'm dreaming, but I don't remember them. I said, no scientist can explain, because he's a scientist. No, sometimes, I kind of give my 2 cents words to him as a layman. I said, frankly speaking, I don't think that any scientist can explain what a dream is. But nobody can deny that we experience it. है कि नहीं? सबको मालूम है कि ड्रीम, चाहे वो इंटेलिजेंट हो या बुद्धू हो, कोई भी, तो ड्रीम सबको मालूम है. Okay? And we also know that when we wake up, it's like it's gone. Just disappeared. And nobody gives much importance to dreams and all that, In fact, Swamiji used to say that sometimes the people sit and analyze dream. Chinmayananji never encouraged that, because he wants you to think of it on the Vedantic term, that it doesn't have, from the waking perspective, it doesn't have much dum in it, So why did God have this strange experience for humans? So our teacher used to say, he's giving you a clue. And the way I was looking at it, don't the kids play this game? Eggs ko छुपा देते हैं, and then they go look for it, and then so it's like भगवान ने भी ऐसे clues छुपा दिए हैं हमारी life में. There is another state, just like you have a dream and a waking, there's one more state, and scriptures tell us. But even though we don't know what it is, but from this example, we can pretty much get a very good idea that when I wake up to that state, all this will become like a dream-like.
So that's the message of Mandukya Upanishad.
Yes. Mandukya Upanishad is taking you, that you have those. Mandukya Upanishad actually takes you even one step further and says that all these three are just experiences. There is something beyond it because of which you are getting the experiences.
Yes.
So again, it takes you to that higher over there. True.
Well, it takes you the substratum.
Yes.
The Turiya state of.
Turiya is called fourth. Fourth is not actually a fourth part, but it's just telling you another
state, or it's
state.
a substratum for all the three.
All the three. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
True. Any other point anybody wants to discuss? Okay. So shall we close Bhagavad Gita if nobody has anything? Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyah mokshayishyami ma shuchah. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay, so we finished verse 6 of Valli 3 and we are on verse 7. So just briefly to summarize till now a little bit so we know where the context is, that Dharmaraj gave, description of the journey, right? In the previous one, and we remember, just try to picture what we just did. Jiva was the Rathi, or the owner or the master of the Ratha, chariot. Buddhi was the charioteer. Mind is the reins. You hold on with the Buddhi, the reins. And so it should be in the hands of Buddhi, tightly held. Sense organs were the horses, and sense objects were the roads. They are walking all those 5 different horses, 4 actually. And then I was telling you how the taste and the tongue is a taste and touch also. So, and then also Dharmaraj explained that when the jiva identifies with the body's senses, mind and intellect, that's when he becomes the doer and the bhokta. So see how it's running parallel to what we learned in Bhagavad Gita, and he's explaining with this example, it becomes even more clear. And he's saying that basically, in the pure nature, he's a Shuddha Chaitanya only. But, because he identifies and all that, that's why he's feeling like he's doer and all that. And he's saying that if the Buddhi or the charioteer is not all together, okay, unintelligent usko bola hai, avignanavan, because संस्कृत में ना ज्ञान और विज्ञान 2 चीजें हैं. ज्ञान is just information type of, इसका knowledge. Vijnana is wisdom. So it's a one step further with experience that you absolutely, establish in it. So that's what it means. So when you say avijnanavan, to matlab, there are many different things that go with it. And Tejo Manaji will explain with few more words. But basically, it's not, his mind is not under control. So the moment that happens, when the driver of the vehicle is not all together, he is not going to have a firm hold on the reins or the steering wheel. He is not going to have that, and that means senses are going to be untamed. Means the wheels are going to go here and there, or the horses are going to start running here and there because he is not holding it. And the one he also mentioned that one who is wise, that means that Sarthi whose mind is under control, horses start behaving properly. He knows how to control the horses, or in the modern he knows how to control the car, and he will use the car to get him to a place where he wants to go. Okay? So that is the journey that we are taking from ignorance to knowledge. That's what we're trying to do. As we learned in Bhagavad Gita, that that's our goal. So with that background, we go to verse 7. Yatsya vijnanavan bhavati amanaska sada shuchihi na sa tat padmanapnoti Sansaram chadhigacchati. Here is who. Tu is again avijnanavan, devoid of right understanding. Bhavati is amanaskaha, thoughtless or of uncontrolled mind. And we will see few more adjectives in a few minutes. Sada is always. Ashuchi. Shuchi means cleanliness. Ashuchi means impure. Na is never. Sa is he. Tat is that. Padam. यहाँ गोल लिखा है और we know the word किसको वो पद मिल गया means that state. The correct thing is that state. Apnoti, attains. Sansaram is the round of birth and death. So when we say ordinary, ये संसार में ऐसा होता है, that's just a regular language we are using for the world. But in Vedanta, when they say word sansar, it specifically means कि यहाँ पर birth and death का चक्कर चालू रखना is called संसार में फंसे रहना. That's what it is. Cha is and. Adhigacchati gets into means उसके वो उसमें पड़ा रहता है, उसमें चला जाता है संसार में के चक्कर में. Adhigacchati, that's what it actually means. Okay, so now he's talking about, everybody understood what avijnanavan is, right? We talked about it, unintelligent, and I explained that, not wise person. And then the other word over here is amanaskaha. Man or aman, जिसका मन किसी चीज में नहीं लग रहा हो, kind of thing, कि कोई ड्राइवर है और उसका मन ड्राइविंग में नहीं है, you can imagine क्या होगा. So there are many things, like sleepy, not alert, not pure. Like Tejo Menon gave the word sada ashuchi, means his mind is not pure. कभी कभी कोई आजकल ड्राइवर, हम लोग कभी इंडिया में जाते हैं तो कभी कभी ड्राइवर को हायर करते हैं और अगर वो फ़ोन पे ही लगा रहता है तो हम लोग को, हम बोलते नहीं है गेट ऑफ द फोन, बिकॉज हमारी जान उसके हाथ में है भाई. वी डोंट वांट टू बी टॉकिंग टू हिज वाइफ एंड गेटिंग ऑल अपसेट और हिज गर्लफ्रेंड और समथिंग. That is amanaska. His mind is not in it, And also it means there is not clear understanding of, the roads and things like that, or don't know, attention is not on it. So, as a charioteer, according to this verse, will not reach the goal, will not reach the word used here, padam. And the reason this word is used, because we may not remember, but earlier Yamraj had said that that ultimate truth, which is a goal of our life, that padam should be our goal in life, So that's why he's talking about goal, that ultimate state is that goal. That's why. And what is that goal? It's it will liberate us from bondage. That's what he had mentioned, in earlier verses in Valli 2. So, he's referring to our mind only over here. Through this charioteer, he's telling you that what kind of intellect you have. Examine your intellect. Is it sleepy, impure, distracted, dull, not alert? That kind of mind you have. And when he talks about alertness, it's more in the context of when we do something wrong, are we alert about it? If we are super alert, we won't do it. So, कभी कभी होता है ना कि हम लोग ऐसे बहुत गुस्सा कर जाते हैं, वो ऐसा हो गया मेरे से, and then, but जिसका alert mind होता है वो करेगा ही नहीं. So, when you talk about alert, we have to come back to our own intelligence and mind and all and think about it. So, but here a very kind of important point has been made, and that is this. If you are not alert, so, okay, चलो तुम destination में नहीं पहुंचोगे. Right? That is एक उसका consequence होगा ये कि भाई तुम अपने गोल पे नहीं पहुंचोगे. पर यहाँ उससे भी बुरा होता है, because he says अधिगच्छति means ये तुम्हारा almost जैसे कुछ destruction ही हो जाएगा. Why? Because फंस जाओगे तुम. बोलते हैं भंवर में फंस जाना, जन्म मरण के चक्कर में. So this is so important for the intellect to become pure, because that whole journey of karma yoga is also to make the intellect pure only. So is given utmost important. और यहाँ पर बोला कि वो संसार में गिर जाएगा बोलना चाहिए. I don't know if that's the right word, but there are no fixed words, so we can just use different words to understand. So Tejomayanandi took one approach about it. Swamiji took, and both are very valid. And Tejomayanandi ne he didn't talk about adhogati. You know, there's a word called adhogati in our Sanskrit. That means तुम एक लेवल पे उसे नीचे गिर गए. So I'm not bashing any animals over here and all that. For the animal lovers, you know, don't take it wrong, this example. But हम लोग को ह्यूमन जन्म मिला है ना, तो बोलते हैं अगर तुम्हारा मन बहुत ज़्यादा इम्प्योर है ना, तो तुम्हारी अधोगति होगी, तुम फिर से पशु योनि में चले जाओगे. और पशु योनि में इंटेलेक्ट नहीं है. You know, from the Vedantic perspective, it's like a lower yoni where you're just a slave of other humans. ने slave बना लिया ना animals को. You know, बस खाओ पियो मार खाओ और वैसे जीवन बिताओ, kind of, you know, you don't have the joy of liberation and doing all that. So वो एक लिया. और तेजोमयानंद जी ने क्या कहा कि even if you go to स्वर्गलोक, suppose तुमने पुण्य किया और तुम स्वर्गलोक पहुंच गए, even that's not permanent, right? फिर भी तुम संसार में ही फंसे हुए हो, basically. That's what he was trying to say. So whether you think of it as a going to the Pashu Yuni or you would think of going to Swarga, you are still not escaped that temporary situation. That's what we have to think. So, and another word of the sansar is constantly changing. You know, so and संसार का दुख है ना, वो इसी से प्रॉब्लम है हम लोग को. समझो हमारी लाइफ एकदम सीधी लाइन की तरह चलती, वी हैव एवरीथिंग एंड नथिंग चेंजेस एंड नो वी आर जस्ट ऑलवेज देयर, बट दैट्स इम्पॉसिबल. दुख सुख का चक्कर चालू. आज जो बहुत कुछ अच्छा है कल खराब हो जाता है, जो कुछ खराब है वो अच्छा हो जाता है, थिंग्स लाइक दैट. सो दे वी आर काइंड ऑफ identifying with this change, you know, and with BMI also keeps changing. BMI, I mean, मैंने short कर दिया, body, mind, intellect. When if I say BMI, just remember that. So, you know, body, mind, and intellect, all three are constantly changing, and if we just stay in that realm, then we are going to be miserable all the time, and we are sucked into the sansar. That's what he's saying. And then what we do is their dharma, when they say ki body, mind, and intellect changing dharma, we take it upon ourselves, and then all the sorrow begins, you know. And then Tejomayanand ji was reminding us that he had talked about that vidya and avidya, because it's like all the previous verses, because we don't want to forget, otherwise, you know, we won't have the good foundation. He was talking about that particular kind of buddhi which doesn't know dharma and adharma ka difference. You know, what is right thing to do, what is wrong thing to do, and is distracted, and, you know, so if you have that kind of charioteer, he's not going to take you to the goal, he's going to keep you going in circle. It's like a boat that it is tied to some kind of khamba, and instead of crossing, it is just going round and round where it is, you know. So that's how you look at it. And so what do we want? We want to go beyond this change or beyond the sansar, and you can look at it even swarga or going down, both of them we don't care. And we don't want any grief. But what he was saying is very, very significant. He's saying you don't want that, but unfortunately, people keep doing things that cause that. You know, and the perfect example is he said they will do, you know, some mala, they will do, or go to the mandir and do all that, and bade sattvic dikhai denge. But the moment they get out, they go to the marketplace, cheating starts. Kisko main buddhu banao, kisko ye karu, wo karu. So he's saying, you want the punya karma, but you're not doing things that are going to. So that's why this purity of the mind is so important. You know, even if you don't have it, realize that it is very, very important and work on it. और इंडिया में बोलते हैं ना कि पाप वाप सारे धुल जाते हैं गंगा में स्नान करने से. And one of the Swami said, वो सब पेड़ के ऊपर बैठ जाते हैं और तब गंगा में स्नान करते हैं तो पेड़ पे बैठ जाते हैं. फिर जब तुम गंगा के बाहर निकलते हो ना, तुम्हारे पास वापस कूद जाते हैं वो. So don't think that they will just go away. Yeah, what all it does is it tries to give you a new beginning. When you do Ganga Snan, तुम्हारा mind थोड़ा शांत हो जाता है, and maybe when you come out, you will not do any more. That's what it means. When से पाप धुल जाते हैं, not कि तुमको पापों के कर्मों का फल नहीं मिलेगा, but you have a better understanding, so you will face it properly and you will not do any more. So those kind of things if you have to remember. So he's just saying that basically in this verse he's telling you that if you don't purify your mind, you will be going here एक problem से दूसरे problem में. And another very important thing he brought, which I never thought about it that way, he's saying that in the world is saying तुम जो भी कुछ टच करते हैं ना सब प्रॉब्लम ही दिखता है तुमको. एंड तब फिर कभी कभी तुम सोचते हो अच्छा हाँ इसका सोल्यूशन मेरे पास है, and then you find the solution, and that solution is nothing but another problem only. So what I was thinking of is this, that sometimes these pharmaceutical companies come out with medicines to tell you, okay, you have this condition, you have this medicine, but what they don't tell you, the doctor won't tell you, is a long list of side effects. कि ओ तुम ये दवाई लोगे तो तुम्हारा आर्थराइटिस ठीक हो जाएगा. आई एम जस्ट गिविंग एग्जांपल ना, डोंट कोट मी ऑन इट. मगर तुम्हारी किडनी फेल हो जाएगी और तुम्हारा हार्ट खराब हो जाएगा. सो हाँ, एक चीज ठीक करेगा लेकिन 3 चीज और गड़बड़ करने वाला है वो. That's what I thought. This is such an appropriate thing, that whatever solution we find, they are not really solution, he said. Just creating another problem. And then he gave another example which was so brilliant. It's like a छोटा सा एक कीड़ा है, वो एक नदी में है और एक भंवर में फंसा हुआ है. जैसे ही वो एक भंवर से बाहर निकलता है, दूसरा भंवर आ जाता है, फिर उसमें गिर जाता है, फिर उसमें, तो वो उधर ही घूमता रहता है वो. So he's saying, I know it sounds funny, but taking it to this to our state, he's saying हमारी state भी कुछ ऐसी है. So the only solution is purity of your intellect, and that will lead you to. I thought this was really kind of interesting, the whole thing. Any question, comment, or anyone wants to add anything?
Just one thing I want to add is, when we use the example of the charioteer, 2 things can help him. One is how badly does he want to reach the destination, and secondly, how serious he is about it.
True. Very good point. If he wants to reach fast, he will take the fast route.
Yes.
He will take that. Tabhi he was saying that highway. Take the highway and don't go on the side roads and all, because there are a lot of distractions on the side road. फिर ये दिखेगा, वो महल दिखेगा, वो दिखेगा, तो सब उधर ही बैठे रहोगे तुम. So he's saying that ज्ञान भक्ति
वैराग्य.
Huh?
Also keep the horses in complete control, so you can go focused in one direction, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
What Anilji is saying, I'm just trying to understand that more.
Yes. Yeah. बिल्कुल सही. Because that's why the senses are very powerful. And that's why कितना brilliant example दिया. Horses are very powerful. अगर वो दुबक गया और बिगड़ गया, तो ऐसा वो छुड़ा के भागेगा, तुम उसको पकड़ नहीं पाओगे. तभी मतलब कोई बिगड़े हुए हॉर्स को के ऊपर बैठना बिग स्किल मानी जाती थी. और इधर वेस्ट में भी तो है ये क्या बोलते हैं, टेक्सास वगैरह में, दे टेक दिस बुल एंड दे ट्राई टू राइड ऑन इट. जस्ट थिंक ऑफ द बुल एज अ माइंड. और अभी गणेश चतुर्थी गई है, द वेरी बिग सिंबोलिज्म अबाउट द लिटिल माउस ओवर देयर विच इज सिटिंग. So our teacher used to say, in some ways it sounds so ridiculous, गणेश भगवान को इतना, उनका पेट भी इतना मोटा दिखाया है और इतने बड़े विशाल काय हैं, महाकाय उनको बोलते हैं, और एक वो छोटे से माउस पे वो राइड करेंगे. तो ऐसा क्यों बनाया? बट इट्स अ सिंबोलिज्म. माउस इज अ सिंबोलिज्म ऑफ आवर माइंड. ही इज राइडिंग ओवर द माइंड. ऐसा माउस को छोटा सा स्लेव बना के बिठाया है वहां पे. Don't move. And then the other symbolism she said, which I never thought about, the mouse is looking at the laddu, but the mouse is not eating the laddu. It's just looking. The mind is also such. hey, it might look here and there, but you got to be on you should have the control, the reins. Hey, you're not going to go there, kind of thing. That's the thing you need. So all these symbolism, they really reveal a lot of information for us to contemplate upon. And what Tejomayanand ji said, I thought was so true, that लोग बहुत दान पुण्य ये वो करेंगे, लेकिन they don't work on purifying their mind. मंदिर तक और पूजा करने तक वो सच भी बोलेंगे, बाहर आके झूठ भी शुरू हो जाएगा धड़ाधड़. All those, then it's nothing gonna happen then, according to the Vedanta. You're just fooling yourself. You will be in this chakkar only. So, because इंडिया में ऐसा बहुत होता है ना कि भाई ये पूजा करवा लो, वो शांति हवन करो, and all. I'm not saying don't do it, so please don't misunderstand me. But unless you work on that other thing also, those havan and puja and tirth yatra, all of that, it gives you, takes you towards purity of mind. That's what it's meant for. But if you just think that you can do whatever you want and then just do these couple of things and then it will reverse, it's not going to do that. That's what the message they're trying to give you. Let's read. Okay, I think Shireen did not read last time, right? You have this book.
And he who is devoid of proper understanding, thoughtless and always impure, never attains that goal and gets into the round of births and deaths. With reference to what we have already discussed, it must be quite clear that the Shruti intentions are to make the seeker understand that unless he, first of all, trains himself to live the day-to-day life intelligently, following the codes of morality and ethics, he shall not stand any chance of succeeding in the life divine. Shruti is never tired of repeating at every stage the all-important fact that spiritual practices cannot produce the total effect of perfection or happiness unless the devotee is ready, first of all, to learn to live a life of truthfulness and perfect self-control.
I was just saying that there are two things that he mentioned: truthfulness and self-control. So those both are very important. So go ahead.
One who is not constantly bringing his discriminated understanding and curbing the impulses of his mind is one who is unyoked, ayukta, and the wise law at his animalism and noting down as a vijnana.
A vijnanavan, that is the one who is like unintelligent.
Okay.
A vijnanavan.
Big word.
Yes. Oh.
In modern times, we are hearing at all hands, especially among the educated classes, that a sacred religion is empty, hollow, and useless. There are some monstrous university-educated illiterates who, in their puffed-up vanities, hurl shameless calumniations against this great religion, Hinduism.
So I want to tell this 1 second. This word, calumnies, even I didn't know the meaning. So I actually looked up, and it says a false or a malicious statement designed to injure the reputation of someone or somebody. That's what it means. So, like they say, our religion is like that. They don't know the real, what they're trying to say, and then they just say these that's what he is. And when he was probably came down from the Himalayas, and he was trying to, tell everybody what he had learned and his experience and teaching Bhagavad Gita and all that, there were a lot of opposition. And there are people, there was even when I was growing up, I had that notion that, sab dhong karte hain log, because we don't even make an attempt to read Gita and all, but we just see some bad people doing bad things and we want to discard the whole thing out. See what I'm trying to say? It's like, don't they have a saying in English? throwing the baby with the bath water. That's what we did in the, when that's the kind of people he's talking about. Go ahead, Shireen.
This sadhu has met personally some of them, and when cornered to explain why they condemn Hinduism, some of them at least seemed to come out with a real cause. They said that they had tried bhakti, karma, and other yogas for a long time continuously, but that they were not able to enjoy even a trace of the joy and happiness which the yogas promise as a reward. Such desperados indeed are in themselves a sad commentary upon Hinduism, the science of self-perfection.
So basically, bhakti, karma, and all that yoga, if you don't understand what exactly they are saying, what to do, and then keep blaming that it is something like, that America, there is or India may be problem ho raha hai, lifestyle diseases they call it, right? So lifestyle diseases are, all these long-term things that people face, like it could be diabetes, it could be, high blood pressure, all, those things, they are called the lifestyle. So even the word suggests you that you have to change your lifestyle drastically. You exercise, you do all that. So, okay, I took all this medicine, I'm still not feeling better because you have not changed your lifestyle. The same way over here, okay, yoga and bhakti and all these things, karma. I do so much karma yoga, but are you really doing it? That's what he's telling us. So if you actually do it, you will get the result. That's all he's saying.
Even in the Vedika days, when we all know that people lived a much more self-controlled life of honesty and goodness, the Shrutis were insisting with extra emphasis upon the need and importance of living a life of perfect self-control for every seeker. And our poor seekers living the Broadway life, market dishonesty, black marketing, lust and corruption, madness of every kind, if they do some minutes of japa and so on, how can they come to enjoy the blessings of the absolute perfection?
Yeah,
all his kirtans and bhajans, japa and tapa, temple going and brahmana feedings are waste of time and money. If the devotee is not prepared to keep his mind always under control and thus ultimately come to control in slow degrees the mad onrush of the sense organs. This famous fact is hinted at here by the Shruti.
I don't know how much more clear somebody can say this than he said it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But people still continue to do those kind of things and being dishonest, and then they don't get results. Mm-hmm.
Those who fail to keep up an intelligent self-control upon their own endless sense demands not only fail to climb up the ladder of perfection and thus ultimately reach the Supreme Godhead, known to us in the scriptures as Tatpadam, that state, but also, says the Shruti, slowly fall in the scale of evolution and thus reach the lower states of animal existence. Man, though he is an animal, is considered as the roof and crown of beings because of his reasoning capacity. He alone is the one animal who can, at each challenge in life, discriminate between the path of the good and the path of the pleasant, and firmly make a bid always to stick to the path of the good.
So he's just telling you that how we are different from the animals, because we can distinguish between Shreyas and Preyas and we have a choice. Animals are just programmed. That's what he's saying.
When man at his own accord refuses the blessings of his power of discrimination, which his intellect is capable of, he is deliberately flouting his privileges as a man. And when one has thus of his own free will chosen to be an animal, certainly nature shall bless him with the sorrows and limitations of the animal beings. Man alone is the glorious heir to the supreme joy arising out of knowledge achieved and therefore of the lived perfections.
So I was telling you that how Swamiji said ki, tumhari adhogati ho jayegi. You will be going down in the ladder.
It is a lot of the animals to live, to eat, suffer meekly the gruesome burden of voiceless sorrows, and live a life of delusions and empty joys. The Shruti clearly points out that the men of no self-control not only fail to reach the supreme state of joy and peace, but also fall back into the pit of sorrow at the very center of the world of birth and death, samsaram cha
Adhigachati.
adhigachati.
This is just repeating the verse of the last part of the verse, Sansaram Adhigachati, just telling you that it falls back into the sansar. Pretty strong warning.
Yeah.
Very strong warning, yes. Because that's why
Expression
this.
is very good.
Hmm?
He expresses very well.
Yes. You're forced to think. And it really like shakes you up. Oh my God. There is no, he doesn't kind of say in a soft tone. He's very, you know, gives a very strong tone. Any?
Umaji, also, isn't that true that man has the discriminative power,
Yes.
but to be able to use that power, he needs to get knowledge first.
Yeah, you can say true. Because, and the other thing is to me, if I have to think about it, we use our discriminative power a lot in the world. So everybody uses it, right? हम लोग को कुछ भी, लेकिन हम जब स्पिरिचुअल की बात आती है तो हमको क्लैरिटी भी नहीं होती है बराबर. सो जब शास्त्र पढ़ने से, सत्संग करने से, गुरु मिलने से फिर हमको क्लैरिटी आती है.
Right, exactly.
And then you start using that discriminative power for your progress.
Properly, yes.
And discriminative power is a very very powerful tool, because अगर संसार में भी उसको तुम ठीक से यूज करोगे तो बहुत अच्छा रिजल्ट मिलेगा. All these successful people, that's what they do. But then what the scriptures are saying, that don't stop over there. That just sansar ka khel, but use your discriminative power for higher purposes.
But some people are born, in families where they are trained to use their discriminative powers properly. So they are lucky.
I mean, on one hand, you say they are lucky, but Bhagavad Gita is going to explain to you that those people have done sadhana in the previous life.
Right.
So they get a particular family that is going to उसकी progress fast होगी. So हम लोग उसको चाहे luck बोल दे, but actually वो उन्हीं के अच्छे कर्मों का फल होता है.
Karma and all.
Yeah. So it is going to be addressed that in chapter 6.
That's why we are all at different stages.
Yeah. True.
Nobody at the same stage.
But it also says that if you are getting interest in this kind of subject, be assured that your punya karmas are fructifying, because you will not be interested also in this subject. The fact that you want to study Bhagavad Gita, you want to understand and all, is a very powerful thing according to the Vedanta. Because you are opening the door now for yourself. So far it was shut.
Yes, probably a little bit more. I have to open a little bit more, 100%.
Yeah, now we have to walk the path. I mean, door is open, we are on the road, and now they are telling you that make your विज्ञानवान बना दो अपने intellect को. तो विज्ञानवान कैसे होगा जब उसके reins are in control, and that's why all these things, all these things fit so beautifully in there. This example is absolutely brilliant.
I'm going to say one of the reasons we don't use our discriminative power is because we're not clear about our goal.
Yeah, that's what I think Anilji was saying.
From childhood, we are taught, okay, do good things, do good actions, go to temple, do some bhakti, and that's about it. And then we say, okay, if somebody does good actions, he goes to Swarg. But nobody says that he has gone to what we call as moksha. So mostly I would think that our goal, if at all, is to go to Swarg. And we stop there. And this Gita and all these things are leading us to say, no, that should not be your goal. But how many of us we really think about that? I don't think too many think that our goal should be moksha. Should be that, but we almost kind of stop at, okay, we do good actions and we are going to go to Swarg, and that's a great achievement. So, but this is leading us to say, oh, okay, you need to reach the supreme, so to say. So but that's what I think that's where our discriminations kind of stops.
Yeah. So we have to just, now that we know, we should make effort.
Right.
That's what it is. And that's why they say that listening, Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasan. Because without Shravanam, you won't know, because nobody can show you. You have to listen. And when you say listen, you can be reading Shastras and doing satsang. All that comes under Shravanam only. And all of us have experience
That's
about
what
that.
is leading us to say that, okay, you got to reach the supreme Godhood. That's what they've been telling us to do that. So,
Yep. And if we,
I think in the beginning, just like you said, Sushil ji, for beginners, on the path, it is very important for them to believe that, okay, what is a tangible result of what they are being asked to do? So you be good and you will go to heaven. स्वर्ग में जाओगे, वो उनको समझ में आ जाता है. अगर उनको ये बोलो beginning में कि अगर आप अच्छे कर्म करोगे, तो you will become one with God, you will understand that you and God are one. That may not be a very clear concept to understand. So I think in the beginning, that is what they are told, and then as they delve deeper into the subject, they understand it more, maybe.
yes, true.
What do you
And
think?
the other thing I wanted to say is, Meeraji, the danger is you can get stuck at that level. So what Bhagavad Gita and other guru and all them, they say, okay, अभी elementary में मत बैठे रहो भाई, जाके middle school में भी जाओ अभी, फिर high school में भी जाओ. That's what they are telling you to do, because it's possible to just.
Very true. I'm talking about myself. For example, very vaguely I knew the theory of karma, okay? And that is very good because it tells, beginning में आपको इतनी समझ में आता है भाई आप जो करोगे उसका फल मिलेगा आपको, right? तो आप सोचते हो, डर जाते हो कि भाई हम बुरा काम करेंगे हमें बुरा फल मिलेगा, अच्छा काम करेंगे अच्छा फल मिलेगा. That at least it gets you started to doing right things. उसके beyond बुद्धि नहीं जाती है till somebody actually explains it, until you go further into it. So I think वो lower level के intellect के लोगों के लिए वो बात भी अपनी जगह ठीक ही है, क्योंकि वहां से फिर कम से कम स्टार्ट तो करो ना, फिर कहीं आगे का रास्ता मिले.
No, very true. What you're saying is, and that's exactly why he was saying, हम लोग ने ये सारा discuss भी किया, that at lower level that theory of karma is very good, because उसके बिना तो वो, अगर the people who are like, the चार्वका की भाई, खाओ पियो मजा करो and कुछ consequence नहीं होगा because there's only one life, ये वो blah blah blah, then the person is not even going to do, and he's not going to even be thinking of going in the right path. So what you said is very important in the beginning. That elementary level is important, because it's like a child, if he doesn't go in elementary, he's not going to be successful in middle school, right? So true, what you're saying, both of you have a very good point. Both are valid, that okay, अभी इधर बहुत हो गया, अभी थोड़ा आगे बढ़ो, बट अगर ये भी ठीक से नहीं किया तो आगे ही नहीं बढ़ पाओगे. तो बिल्कुल सही.
well, first is to have some goals, and if I'm talking about myself, nobody ever told, our parents never said, okay, this is your goal. It was as you go along, okay, you become an engineer, you become a doctor or something. It was never said that from somewhere before your high school or some, hey, what do you want to do? What is your goal? Nobody guided me at least.
No, all of us are in the same boat. And, like whole generations are lost in India because of, at one point, they were giving both the information together. That's the Gurukul system, that, hey, you teach them about, but the sad part is that sometimes even giving that information together was not reaching properly, like it happened in Arjuna's case. Arjuna did learn about, all this moksha and everything, but he was not, uska knowledge was not pure. That danger is there too. And Krishna Bhagwan says that is also, as a matter of time, it does get contaminated, the knowledge. That's why you have the saints and sages who come and they redefine it for you in the context of the current time. Sometimes it might seem like they are talking some contradiction, but they are not. they have been sent by that higher intelligence to fix few things. Well, they're not fine tuning. Hey, don't think like that. Like Guru Nanak Ji, Dev Ji came because rituals became too big. Kabir Maharaj came, Kabir Das Ji. And he said, उन्होंने कितनी अच्छी लिखा to put you on the right track. Yes, Sneha, you want to say something, right?
Yeah, what I was saying is why our parents never told us about this goal was, I think, because they themselves didn't know.
Exactly.
Another thing is they want you to be an householder first, do all your education and all that, because if you go to the sannyas way, in the beginning, in the youth itself, then who's going to look after the parents also, or old age. So, and actually my husband was actually going to go with the guru at the age of 10 or 11. But then, his mother spoke to him, that he's an only child, don't take him. So then he said, no, you have to, you look after your mother, you stay here.
Yeah, and I think that what you said is very true, that if you yourself are ignorant, andha andhe ko dikha raha hai rasta. That's what happened with so many generations. So that was one point. And second point is, the problem is that when we think of going to a guru, it does not mean you don't have to be a householder. You can be a householder and pursue this. That's the beauty of the Bhagavad Gita. So householder, in fact, जब वो 4 आश्रम हम पढ़ते हैं ना उनके बारे में, like brahmacharya and grihastha and all that, the householders ashram is a very important one. You need a large group of people to do that, because they are the one who support all the other 3 ashrams. They support, the first for 25 years of the person's life is a householder who does that. He supports himself and he supports people in Vanprastha and sannyas. So it is a very powerful, and in olden days, all the Rishi Munis were also married. A lot of them, not everybody was brahmachari. So that was, even the Mahan great Rishis, Vashishtha, Vishwamitra, all of them have wives, had children, and all of them. So sometimes we take it as though in this path everybody has to become a brahmachari, and that's also not true. So many different factors.
Actually, grihastha dharma is harder than the sannyas.
On one point, true. Because you have to, हम लोग सभी गृहस्थी है ना, हम लोग को मालूम क्या क्या पापड़ बेलने पड़ते हैं रोज. But it also can wake you up, because it can say, यही है क्या सब, got to be something more. I didn't come here just to do this,
Actually, the life of a sadhu looks so attractive. They have to worry about nothing.
That's what, again, we have gone through it. It looks very, but banke dekho to malum padega unke bhi bahut dukh hai bhai. So it's like, it's not really, the grass looks greener on the other side, but तुम्हारी जो basic वासना है ना, उसके अनुसार तुम चलो और फिर तुम इसकी तरफ बढ़ो. That's what the message of Bhagavad Gita is. You don't need to fight that. If somebody, जो ब्रह्मचारी होते हैं ना, वो बचपन से वैसे होते हैं. उनको कोई किसी ने जबरदस्ती नहीं बनाया है. इनफैक्ट उल्टा होता है. जिसका बहुत ज्यादा वैराग्य होता है उसको कोई पकड़ के नहीं रख सकता. I mean, look at the Buddha, when that, and that is the kind of analogy that अब कृष्ण की मुरली बजी तो वो खाली गोपीस को सुनाई देती थी. There is a symbolism in it. That higher call, when it comes, nobody else is listening. You are, and you're going to go. You're going to run to that Krishna, You will drop everything. You are not going to be worried about anything at that point. But इतना strong वैराग्य जिसमें होएगा, and फिर गृहस्थी में रह के भी, it's like Janak Maharaj. Krishna Bhagwan gave that example. That hey, you can do your karma yoga, you can live in luxury, don't be attached, and you can reach the moksha. So he gave you both the paths on a silver platter. Choose what you want. Oh, I just wanted to say that when I was listening to my own recording, that I made a big blunder by saying Kunti's kids got, and I'm like, oh my God, I must be so tired to say. I meant Draupadi. So in my mind it was Draupadi, and I said, Joe puts this on the YouTube, and if somebody hears that, they'll say, this woman is really nuts. She doesn't know. This is a big mistake happened. But I hope all of you whoever knows the Mahabharata story knew that that's what I meant. Just for the record, I want to say it, that I meant Draupadi's children, and we know in the story they got killed.
Yes.
So sorry about that. Okay. So I think that this whole thing got together with the discussion and this, which is fine too, no problem. Anybody has anything else? Want to discuss or bring a point or tell their experience? We have 5-10 minutes.
You were saying that the intelligence is not there in animals, but actually the consciousness is present in everything. So, and what is consciousness? Consciousness is actually intelligent only.
Okay, so what they mean is the discriminative power is not there. The way they explain is they don't have a choice. For example, the best example, I'm simplifying it for this example. They're saying a lion will always remain a mass bhakshi. उसको कभी घास नहीं खाएगा, वो मर जाएगा शायद, लेकिन घास नहीं खा सकता वो. And the same way, the cow will always remain a grass eater. In fact, with all that mad cow disease and all, I hope you guys know that how it came. They forced the cow to eat the meat. They mixed it with the food. They tricked the cow and then it turned into something horrible because by nature, it cannot digest, it cannot process. So, but a human is the only one who can say, hey, I want to be vegetarian or non-vegetarian. I want to do this or not do this or do it other way. या तो मैं करूँ नहीं या करूँ या किसी और ढंग से करूँ. That's what they are saying, that the animal life is programmed. And what you are saying is, yeah, that's true. It's a manifestation of that power of consciousness, but it is a different level. Like animals, stones also have consciousness, but it is just as a, Sat Chit Anand mein se Sat hai usme.
Yes.
Existence is there. When you go to plants, they respond according to Swamiji, that okay, they can take oxygen in, they can respond a little bit to the light. So he's saying that there's a beginning of mind is there, but it at a very lower level still, because plants also have mind, they believe, right? Kabhi bolte it can respond to music also. Some people believe that Om chanting and things like that is slightly. Animals, a little more. Humans may fully develop intellect. Because then it becomes like, hey, God gave you a choice now. That's what it means.
Consciousness and intelligence are two different things. Consciousness is what makes you tick, what makes you move. Whatever, you are there because of the consciousness. There's nothing without consciousness. Whereas the animals, of course, all of them have consciousness. Their discriminative power is there, but it's much less.
True.
As evolvement takes, your discrimination becomes more and more. So discriminative power or intelligence, it's there, but it's how much degree of intelligence, that varies. Degree of discriminative power, that varies.
So what you are trying to say that, in another word, if you put what Sushilji you are saying is the expression of it is different and different, and it's more expressed versus less expressed. That's all it is. And it's just same like a light bulb. The electricity is the same that goes into a small light bulb versus a very powerful one, right? But what it takes from it is it depends on the equipment. एक थोड़ा सा जलेगा, थोड़ी सी लाइट देगा, दूसरा एकदम ब्लास्ट करेगा लाइट, So that's how it is. True.
Can we say the intelligence is missing?
I'm sorry?
Can we say intelligence is missing?
I think the right word is discriminative power is a better word, because intelligence, like everybody's saying, even animals have certain intelligence, right? You can train them, and you see in the animal world, I mean, क्या बोलते हैं ये Sea World and all, they can train them, but
comparing to the human being.
Exactly, when you compare to the human,
we cannot say it's missing.
Right.
We can say it's the degree much less.
Yes.
But can you also say that the animals do not know the difference between pleasant and good? They always go towards pleasant.
No.
Man has a choice.
I think what you are saying is थोड़ा सा mixing हो रहा है. When you say pleasant and good, there are एक तो होता है common meaning of pleasant and good. So animal know कि भाई कोई खाना उनके सामने रख दो, ये मेरे को सूट करता है या नहीं, वो animal को मालूम है. What you are talking about is Shreyas and Preyas.
Yes.
That is at a higher level. hey, is this going to take me to my liberation or is going to take me to the sansar? That one they don't have, because that's why they, I think who it was Sadhguru who said, animals don't need religion. You know, they're not thinking, मैं मंदिर में जाऊं, मैं ये करूं. Hey, they are, and उनको पाप और पुण्य भी नहीं लगता है, सबको मालूम है ना. Animal को पाप पुण्य नहीं लगता है. It's just a program life that vasanas they have to exhaust, that's all. They cannot create pap and punya. It's only human life that we create pap and punya. These are very subtle points that we have to contemplate upon. That's
So
why
animals can be born as humans in next life.
yes, 100% they can be. In
Yeah?
fact, yes, in fact, the reason you have become animal is वो तुम्हारा devolution हुआ है, but then you come back again. In fact, it was
करेंगे तभी तो ह्यूमन बनेंगे, नहीं तो कैसे बनेंगे, तो एनिमल ही रहेंगे वो.
The thing is, maybe we'll be animals so that we don't commit any other bad karmas or whatever.
no
84 लाख योनियों के बाद मानव शरीर मिलता है, and that is the reason, because even only as a human being do you have the discrimination to work towards moksha. उसके पहले तो आप बस खाते पीते जीतते रहते हैं, फिर दूसरा जन्म हो गया है, like that, you know.
and you know it's
हाँ, तो definitely animals ही बन के we have gone through all those stages, all those births, I think, before we were finally born into the
84
human.
lakhs.
So we became humans now, but we have a danger of falling down. I mean, unless you really do bad karmas, so don't need to get scared, huh? That हम लोग फिर से human नहीं बनेंगे. Because डराओ मत. But अगर you know, like the whole life you just want to cheat and do this and all that you want to do, then okay. The other way of looking at it is, अगर तुमने कोई चीज किसी फ्रेंड को दी, समझो, हाँ, और उसने उसका ठीक से ध्यान नहीं रखा, तो क्या आप उसको कभी वापस दोगे वो चीज? उसने तोड़ फोड़ के और आपको दिया ही नहीं वापस, या उसका कद्र नहीं की, तो तुमको नहीं मिलेगा वापस. तो वैसे ह्यूमन शरीर को तुमको दिया है और तुम उसका वैल्यू नहीं कर रहे हो, तो नेचर इज नॉट गोइंग टू गिव यू अगेन. और थोड़ा मुश्किल से देंगे, जब थोड़ा माफ़ी मांगेंगे हम लोग और थोड़ा अपना प्रायश्चित करेंगे, फिर हमको मिलेगा, है कि नहीं? संसार में भी ऐसा ही होता है. सो ऑल दोज प्रिंसिपल दैट अप्लाई to the spiritual life also apply to the world. You can find examples in the worldly life too. So, you know, these are subtle points, but all of you, everybody who said whatever, it's true, but it has to be taken as a wholesome thing together, you know. एंड आई थिंक स्वामी जी सेज कि ह्यूमन बीइंग्स में ना 3 टाइप के लोग होते हैं. एक एनिमल मैन बोला है उसको, एक मैन बोला है, और एक डिवाइन मैन बोला है. सो जो एनिमल मैन है वो ह्यूमन का बॉडी मिलने के बाद भी ही एक्ट्स लाइक अ एनिमल, यू नो, ही स्टेज इन दोज लोअर. एंड द मैन इज ठीक है, यू नो, यू डिड गुड टू मी, आई विल डू गुड टू यू. बट जो उससे भी ऊपर होता है ना, आई एम गोना डू गुड नो मैटर व्हाट, यू नो, दैट इज अ सेंट, यू नो. So we want to go from this man level to a slightly higher. It's difficult, but we have to make that journey. I think this was a very good discussion that we had. Any other thing?
On a very light note, I mean, now that the serious discussion is done, अभी बात हो रही थी, गृहस्थ आश्रम is more difficult than even sannyas, you know. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to think कि सीता जी made a very smart choice कि उन्होंने कहा रामचंद्र जी से, मैं तो आपके साथ जा रही हूँ वनवास में, because had she stayed back तो 3 सासों की सेवा करो और you know all that goes with it. और जंगल में तो आराम है, मतलब हस्बैंड के साथ पिकनिक बन रही है, एक देवर साथ में गया है जो सारा काम करता है. एंड सो यू नो, आई यूज्ड टू थिंक कि दैट्स अ गुड लाइफ, फ्रैंकली. सो शी डिड मेक अ स्मार्ट चॉइस. तो वो तो है कि जो गृहस्थी में रहता है उसे पता है कि कितना कुछ करके फिर आपको कुछ करना पड़ता है.
या ट्रू, सैक्रिफाइस बहुत होता है.
हाँ, सैक्रिफाइस करके फिर टाइम निकालिए अपने स्पिरिचुअल डेवलपमेंट के लिए। वहां तो आप बैठ गए, बस अपना भोजन भी कहीं से आ जाएगा और चटाई बिछाई और अपना बस करते रहे आपको जो करना है।
As long as you
that is some
You make it sound very easy and good.
but
no it's not. That's why I said when I was a kid I used to think now I can understand सीता जी का भी कितना sacrifice है। उस वक्त मुझे लगता था कि भाई अच्छा किया, नहीं तो घर पे रहती तो बड़े काम होते हैं, साथ में 3 सासें, लोगों की तो एक ही होती है, you know, that sort of thing. So
सीता जी को ये नहीं पता था कि रावण भी आएगा।
I know, I was going to say कि danger is lurking out there. जानवर और राक्षस और सारे राक्षस वो जंगल में आसपास रहते थे वहाँ पे।
लेकिन उनको ये भी पता था ना कि अच्छा चलो रावण का तो जो था वो because of a plan that happened, उनको पता था कि रामचंद्र जी उनके साथ हैं, साथ में लक्ष्मण भी हैं, उनको क्या हो सकता है? Who could have really touched her? There had not been a divine greater plan. तो मजे ही मजे, मतलब जंगल जा करके
तो हम
बेचारी उर्मिला जो रुक गई, रह गई ना, हस्बैंड मिला 14 साल तक, सारा घर भी देखो अकेले रह गई बेचारी।
So on the lighter note, मीरा जी, अगर हमारे साथ भी राम और लक्ष्मण हो तो हम भी सब चल पड़ते हैं जंगल में। राम लक्ष्मण होने चाहिए ना।
कैंपिंग ट्रिप, एक्सटेंडेड कैंपिंग ट्रिप पे आप जा रहे हो।
I'm not so sure about that.
There's Krishna Bhagwan was asked by Kaikeyi कि तुमने हमको 14 साल तक, because they were captured by their brother when Krishna was, so वो 14 साल बाद ही उसने उसके मामा को मारा ना और अपने माँ बाप को करा। तो उसने बोला कि why did you take 14 years? तो उसने बोला जब मैं राम था तो आपने मेरे को 14 साल क्यों वनवास भेजा?
Yeah, I heard about that. That's very interesting. Yeah.
और फिर उसने बोला अच्छा फिर यशोदा माँ कौन बनी है? नहीं, तुम कौशल्या माँ कौन बनी है इस जन्म में? तो उसने बोला यशोदा माँ है कौशल्या। So she got to enjoy the Krishna's
childhood.
So
yeah.
कर्म तो किसी को ही नहीं छोड़ता,
Yeah.
जो तुम करोगे वो तुम नेक्स्ट जन्म में तो पाओगे।
ऐसा है, पहचानने की बात है। Who knows, maybe Ram is already with you and you are not recognizing him. Or maybe Sita is with us and we are not recognizing.
Where is Joe today?
Definitely true, आपके लिए।
But you are on lighter mood, so I said, okay, why not?
बिल्कुल सही बात बोली। हमारे पास राम और सीता दोनों हमारे ही फैमिली में है, मगर हम एक दूसरे को पहचान नहीं पा रहे। दूसरा कोई राम ढूंढने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। So true. Yeah.
मैं चलती हूँ अगर अपने पति के चरण हो, पता चला कि वो राम है।
अरे खाली धोने से तो नहीं है ना, धो और फिर वो पानी पियो भी।
सुशील जी, आज के जमाने में धोना ही बस ठीक है, वो भी एक बहुत बड़ी बात है, उससे सारा पुण्य मिल जाएगा। Okay, all right. So on this lighter note, we can end the class. I'm going to just do the final prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kashchit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.